Hello everyone, Fiat here, and after my last Minecraft world on the other computer messed up so bad, thanks in part to mods, that the backup saves didn't even work, I figured I'd have to start all over again, but I've been trying to make the best of it, and in this new world, I'd like to show off what I have after, well, I'm getting up to 1500 Minecraft days. It says this is Minecraft day 1416, so I wanted to show what I've got so far in this world and maybe get some feedback and comments on it, see what other people think about it. Now, before we get into exploring this world in full detail, a couple things that I should point out about the way I play. First and foremost, I'm hardcore survival. I really don't like creative mode. All I pretty much used creative mode for was every time I built a house, go to creative, grab a villager, spawn eggs, spawn one villager per house. And then, of course, thanks to the auto breeding, they kind of reproduced, and that's that. But other than that, I just don't like using creative. I don't see it being any fun at all. If you think it's fun, great. I just don't. I prefer to do everything in survival. So, what you see here has all been done in survival, which, as you can see why, it took about 1400 or so days so far. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. We are standing here. If we look at the map, you can see more of what's been constructed. Now, the way I play is essentially about the rise of empires and things like that to dominate the home planet and all that good stuff. So I have different empires and different nations, so to speak, each with their own identity, laws, and religion. So, for example, you have the Minoso up here. They are Protestant Christian, while as the Elishai down here are worshippers of the water goddess. But there's no point in getting too detailed in that. There's three other nations, but they're not developed enough to even bother showing off yet. But with that said, let's take a look at what we got. We'll begin by talking about and showing off what we have here. This is, as of right now, the only city in the Elishai Empire. It's called Delakai. And you'll notice over here some buildings look a little different and they have crosses. This little area here is the Minoso Embassy. So, because the laws of the Elishai dictate that what buildings an embassy must include, and one of those buildings are religious buildings. Because the Elishai believe in religious tolerance, and they don't feel threatened by the presence of other religions within their city because they believe freedom includes not forcing your religion upon others or denying them the right to their religion. So let's begin by taking a look at this embassy. Now basically what you have here are the houses for the embassy's citizens, so that people from the city of Delakai can come here and visit with people from other countries to, I don't know, maybe learn about them. Houses aren't much, but let's just take a tour. Kind of small, but the interesting thing about it is working toilets. Now, it may not be able to see it, but these toilets are actually linked up to a sewer system because I kind of go hardcore with this, kind of go big or go home philosophy. So I like to have all my toilets actually linked to a sewer system where they're either taken down and dumped into an actual cave or, in some cases, a lava incinerator, so that if you were to drop something in that toilet, it would actually flow down into a sewer system and eventually end up at either a cave or being incinerated by lava. So if we take a little journey to the back, you can actually kind of see that sewer system. We've gone around back here, opening the doors, and here we have access to the sewer. So this is where the toilets of those houses are flowing down, and that actually does flow all the way down into a cave or something like that. The sewer system on the inside of the city, once it's completely constructed, is going to be a lot more elaborate, but essentially the embassy was built with the sewer system in mind from the start, whereas this city over here was built when I started out trying to survive, so a sewer system wasn't the most important thing, but yeah, anyways. But back to the embassy. So, beyond the houses, here we have the delegate chambers. So this is where the powers, or peoples from both nations, come together to meet to discuss treaties and other international agreements. Now, like I say, the Elishai believe in religious tolerance, so allowing the people of the Minoso to have their own church is part of the agreement. So this is their church within the embassy. Now this right here, of course, is the farm and granary, because obviously the people here need to eat. Now this structure right here is a very important structure that is mandated by LSI law to exist in an embassy, which is the public records of all conversations had between international delegates, and as well as public display of all treaties. So now this is still in development. I still need to get more books, and this embassy was only recently built, so there actually aren't any treaties or anything yet to publicly display. But the basic way it'll work is the meetings and all the other conversations that happen in that building over there in private, the conversation must then be recorded and put in here for the public of people from both empires to come and read. That way there's public information to everyone as to what laws are in effect between the countries, what international agreements, and what trade agreements are in place, in accordance with the LSI's belief that if you're going to have agreements between other countries, the people of your empire have an absolute right to know what those agreements and stuff are. And this is simply a public toilet for the visitors. Again, this is all linked to its own sewer system and run off into a cave. Alright, but let's head on. Wait, no, before we go, or while we're, actually no, while we're on the subject of the Minoso, let's just go check out the Minoso stuff before we worry too much about the LSI. Because the Minoso, which are the Protestants, have some pretty impressive buildings. But as we travel along this LSI bridge, I think it should be pretty obvious that the Elishai, like I say, are worshippers of the water goddess. As a result, their water is in almost all of their constructions, and you'll see this more once we enter the city, especially with the water temple, which, unlike the water temple in The Legend of Zelda, isn't exactly a place of horror. But it's nighttime, but that's okay, because we've constructed this with the intention that people will need to sleep. So there are points in all Elishai road systems and bridges for those traveling to get some shut-eye. But let's begin to head in here into the Minoso territory. And maybe get some more food on hand. Now the Minoso, like the Elishai, are still developing, so their city is a bit incomplete. This is going to be eventually their capital. Right now it's still classified as a village known as Sandrum, but it's slowly growing with more and more construction projects and buildings added regularly. But the Minoso are a pretty industrialized people as well. And they definitely enjoy farming. So right here we have our elaborate and intricate pig farm. And the interesting thing about this is you may not notice it completely, but like I say, the Minoso are Protestants, so cross symbolism is pretty prevalent in their buildings. And like I say, you may not notice it here, but when you look at the map, you can kind of see the cross symbol on top. Kind of little subtle thing that they've thrown in. But as you enter into the pig farm, you have the main area here that grows the carrots for feeding to the pigs and the like. And since real-life pig farms require that people entering them have showers, we've also included working shower systems here that you can step into to clean off. And again, the toilets do link to a cave down below where it runs off. And of course you got your bedrooms for the people working here. Now another interesting thing to note, you can't really see it really too much now that it's daytime, but these hedges actually are here to the purpose of generating light. And all of these hedges have jack-o'-lanterns underneath them because jack-o'-lanterns provide a light radius of 15, and with a hedge on top of it, it does not stop the light from showing. So it essentially acts as a way of lighting the building without having to have torches everywhere to make it look tacky. But I probably still have a lot of torches because I play on the lowest gamma setting. Over here we have the Minoso watermelon farm. Pretty straightforward and standard. An organized area for growing watermelon that has, of course, decent irrigation. And of course the people growing the watermelon need to live, so we got their house here. This is the storage for the seeds because both Elishai and Minoso law mandates that seeds are kept, similar to the seed vault in, I think, Norway or one of those countries in our current world. And of course the melons and the melon slices. Then we have the kitchen, of course, complete with the workbench, sink, stoves, and the oven. And again, the working toilet system. Then as we go down here, this is eventually going to be a library, but I don't have enough books. And here we're working on establishing the dressers and mirrors, but building's still kind of under construction. Now this is where we're diving into our intricate showers and bath system. So again, we got our showers, because the Minoso believe in being very clean, and again, a working toilet system. And since some of you may want to actually see that I'm not just full of crap when I say there's actually functioning sewer systems, indeed there is. So as you can see, the water here flows from this toilet, and this is the water from the other toilet in the house, so it all flows down. We dive in here. The sewage and waste, anything that we put in here, will eventually flow down here and go into the lava, where it will indeed be incinerated. And other sewer, not all my sewer systems lead to lava, others just lead to massive cave openings and the like. In a related story, I have no idea why the monsters in the caves are so angry and hostile. Alright, now that disgusting part's over. Heading back out. To another interesting or intricate part of the Minoso. As I say, they're a very industrialized people, so part of that includes their own railway systems. So this one right here is a connection from the Minoso mine all the way to the massive storage yard in the city of Sandstrom Village. So it links this mine here via railway with accelerated rail carts into the massive storage area that is here. So the train, if you can call it that, consists of an empty minecart on each side with two minecarts with chest in the middle, and with these accelerated rails, travel and transportation of goods from the mines into the city's main storage area happens pretty fast. So that's kind of nice. Yeah. Then over here we have a formation of the open area for cattle farms. Now this may not look like it was too much of a project, but when you look at all this flat land in here, the fact that it's all flat is what took a while. I mean, a lot of dirt had to be moved because this was a lot of hills here throughout, so yeah. But it looks nice, so I'm happy with the way it turned out. And I'm really happy with the way this mine looks. Mainly because the texture pack that I have makes birch wooden planks look like crates. So that's pretty cool, and some of you may be wanting to know what texture pack this is, so let's just take a look at that now. Resource packs. Okay, so we actually have two different texture packs, both the rustic and the Misa. Misa is 64 by 64 realistic pack, then Ovo's rustic redemption with the Misa on top and the rustic down below. I don't remember exactly which one. I'd assume it's the Misa that causes the birch wooden planks to look like crates, but the fact that it does makes for some really interesting and nice looking storage yards in my opinion. So I have a bunch of these crates out here, and then storage areas for different things. So it's all nice, neat, and organized, which works out great, and I think looks pretty well. And then you have the rail system in here, like I say, with the fences around it because I got so tired of the sheep getting into my mine carts. You got the smelteries, where you can the sleeping areas, other storage areas, and then the mine itself. But there's no point in going down in there because if you played Minecraft and haven't seen a mine, well then, yeah, you haven't been playing too long. Alright, but heading back. Alright, here we are back on the road. And one other thing to note is you'll notice here as you look up, you can see an intricate and long roadway leading up to the other villages. That took quite a few Minecraft days to build, I might add. But we got to have interconnectivity between our villages and cities because it's vital for transportation. And experience has taught me that if you take horses between cities on road or between cities that aren't connected by roads, those horses can kind of fall in water and current that pulls them down and causes them to drown, which sucks, but oh well. This is just another house for both the sheep harvesting and, of course, another mine goes down there. Nothing special. Again, it's Minecraft, so showing off mines is nothing special. And, of course, we have the red sheep because why not? And, of course, the red sheep couldn't keep their hoofs or whatever it is off the white sheep, so we have pink sheep. Love is in the air. Alright, but here we have the entrance to the massive Minoso storage yard. It's still under construction, but its basic part is there. Yeah. But this area right here, as you'll notice, it's 3 blocks high with an opening here, and that's intentional because if you're trading by donkey, which the Minoso and the Elishai often do, this is where the donkey comes with its cargo and is stored while the people on it take the goods off here and then eventually transport them into the massive storage area. When complete, this is going to have a complete glass roof over this entire area here for the formation of its roof. And then, of course, be full of a bunch of different cargo like you saw at the mine. And then, of course, here's the train, complete with an incline to prevent it from wandering off. But yeah, I think this one's going to look pretty cool when it's done. Still a lot more work to do, though, because building roofs like that in survival takes a while. But here we have our seed vault for the Minoso, because like I say, both the Minoso and the Elishai believe in seed vaults, which is essentially an area for, as you might have guessed, seeds and other stuff, so that if something were to happen to their crops, they'd be able to regrow them if needed. Then, of course, there's been more basic houses here, but then as they begin to develop in their technology, they begin to make cooler and cooler structures. This right here is a Minoso hotel, since they welcome visitors. Unfortunately, this was built before the introduction or advent of sewer systems, so one task that I'm going to have to do is implement functioning toilets and sewers into an existing building, which I'm not looking forward to, but kind of needs to be done because sanitation is important. And why do I not have a torch here? What a shame. There, problem solved. But it's getting dark, so what a perfect time to be in a hotel. Okay, now it's morning, so let's head out. Now, obviously, next to the hotel, we've got to have our lovely and welcoming Minoso restaurant. So we go in here, we can have a seat at the table and take a look at the menu. So we've got carrots, bread, baked potatoes, and apples. So here's the restaurant kitchen. This is, of course, where they store the food. So when people are hungry, they get fast food. You have the stoves, you have the sinks, storage for supplies, the oven, of course, and all the good stuff. You know, the usual stuff you'd expect at a restaurant. And we have here the smith, constructed from blueprints that they have on the Minecraft wiki, so that wasn't hard to construct. And then, of course, because this is a city, we begin to try to develop more intricate housing. Although it's kind of cramped, but that's kind of what you'd expect from a city. So, again, working toilets and complete upstairs. Yeah, wrong one. Their own little books and libraries, double beds, and of course views out for the beautiful forest. Again, kind of cramped, but what do you expect? It's city life, it's not country life. Now, this building down here is one that I'm really proud of, and that is the sawmill, complete with its crane, as it loads wood onto the saw table and the conveyor belts to be cut up. So we load it on, and we get some extra wood here. Then as we go inside the sawmill, obviously you need places for the people inside working here to sleep, storage for the oak and birch wood, and of course storage for the wood products and work tables to do it all up. But yeah, I mean, this may not look the best, but I kind of think that looks like a crane. I'm proud of what I did, even if some people think it's ugly. And of course, in order to create the illusion of ropes, I used birch wood and fence post. But then here we have our forest. Some of the trees look large because that's when you plant oak trees, that's what they end up. And With this area here, it's sectioned off by the Minoso, so every tree you cut down, you kind of got to replant. They definitely believe in conservation. And the rest is pretty just generic. As you can easily tell, this was an NPC village that I kind of began to transform into a city. So you have basic storage stuff here, nothing special. That church I built myself using the designs from the Minecraft wiki, but I only did that for a couple buildings because I wanted to expand upon it and not just take someone else's work online and yada yada yada. Here's just another house. Again, unfortunately built before the advent of sewage systems. Don't even think there's any room anywhere I could add in a sewer system. But that's all this village has for now, other than its walls, which took quite a while to build, I must add. But let's head out, and time to go all the way back down to the lands of the Elishai. And of course the Tamarins, because the Tamarins are awesome. Alright, we are now back in Elishai lands. This over here is just another simple mine. The Elishai are blessed with massive amounts of stone, as you can see from this quarry, and the fact that they're adjacent to a Great Hills region. Yeah. Nothing much to see, although I am working to construct an intricate tunnel all the way through to the other side, so because I feel that that's kind of better than having to construct a road all the way over there, because you can kind of see where I've cut down the forest areas in this here. That's the borders of the Elishai territory. So I'd kind of like to have a tunnel connecting it, as it would be much easier to travel than going up all the stairs and stuff, going over the mountain. But constructing a tunnel in and of itself is quite a challenge. But one will accomplish soon, or someday. Now, rather than go into the city, we're going to head to the south here, to the outskirts, because some of these buildings right here, they may not look like much, but they're some of my favorites. And again, the Elishai are water worshippers. As a result, roads outside their cities, bridges, have to have water on both sides. It's the law. And then, of course, again, in keeping with the tradition of making sure there's places to sleep along their roadways, this area is full of beds for people to stay in as they're traveling, which comes in pretty convenient. And, of course, a work area as needed. Then you have that roadway that leads back to there, but you saw that kind of in the beginning. And these areas here are still under construction. They need walls along the side, but they'll get there eventually. Haven't even gotten water on the sides of these bridges yet. Yeah, it's slacking. Well, this building to the right is essentially a tree farm, but it's done so in a way that allows it to grow oak trees effectively, though right now I'm trying to increase my quantities of Acadian wood, so I built it here. But the main purpose, I have found that it works very well for oak trees, and it provides one major advantage, because like I mentioned at that sawmill, and as everybody's played Minecraft knows, when you plant oak trees, they can go to be ridiculous, so you have to climb up in them, destroy a bunch of foliage to find out where that last piece of wood is within all the forest or the foliage before it'll all disappear. But when you build them in a controlled environment like this, complete with a glass roof, they only grow up to be so high, aka they're much more manageable, and it's just usually a matter of going up, cutting up all the way straight, and then you're done, and then the leaves will disappear and drop the seeds, and you can go on. So it's a much better way, in my opinion, of growing oak trees in a controlled environment. Now this right here is one of the Elishai stone factories, and if you are familiar with the way it works, essentially when lava comes on top of water, it'll turn that water into stone. So utilizing this principle, we've engineered a machine so that when you pull a switch, oh wait, wrong switch. Basically, this is designed with multiple switches, and every single switch will shut it off, but only one switch will cut it on. It's a safety precaution. So as you can see, you pull a switch, the lava flows out, goes over, and over time it'll fill up a space, which, when completed, looks a little something like that. Then once it does, you cut it off. And then, of course, once the lava's all gone, you grab your pickaxe and you start mining. And because it's constructed at specific dimensions and uses the water manipulation mechanics, it'll flow right back in, thus granting you an unlimited supply of stone. Now, if you've never heard of this concept being used, you may be asking yourself, why would you go through all the trouble of setting this up? You can get stone much easier in a mountain or quarry or anything like that. And while true, you can't deny the safety of something like this. It's well lit, so you could potentially mine stone even at night. And if you establish a stone factory like this, it would save you from having to go into the mines or go into the quarries or climb into the great hills and the like. Here, of course, we have some more seed vaults because, again, that's law in both the lands of the Elishai and Minoso. Then, of course, the beds for the people. And, of course, our little guard dogs. And this is the tree seed vault, where all saplings and seeds for the trees are required to be stored to ensure that no species goes extinct of trees. Because one of the Elishai laws actually mandates the removal of forest because they get in the way. However, as a precautionary method and consideration for future generations, they also demand that the seeds for these forests be kept safe to ensure that if they do decide to regrow the forest again, they can do that. And when you consider that this area here was once all forest, as far as the eye could see, this area here all forest and so on, you can see just how many trees they've taken down and why such a law is important. This, of course, is our forest for our guard doggies and warriors. We have them throughout the Empire because we got to be able to defend ourselves from attack. And this area has come under attack, and speaking of which, if we don't go to bed soon, it probably will be again. You can only sleep at night, I hate that. Alright, now then, you've seen that, now it's time, and this is just nothing more than a storage area. But anyways, now that you've seen that, it's time to head up to the main city, which is the city of Delakai, which is going to be the Elishai capital. As we take this road through the quarry. Now again, you probably noticed all the water going everywhere. This wasn't naturally spawning, like I say, the Elishai worship water, so the plan is eventually to have the hills around the entire city looking somewhat like what you can see over there. Oh, you can see it. But yeah, with water coming down the hills of the entire areas around. So if you stand anywhere in the city and you look at the hills, you'll be able to see water everywhere as part of their religious fervor. But here, of course, are the snow golem lava turrets. And if you're unfamiliar with this concept, basically an enemy mob walks here, they throw snowballs at it, pushes said mob into lava. Though do be warned, it works great on zombies, but skeletons, yeah, it's not so much. Here we have our little archery range. Purely cosmetic, of course. Unfortunately, if you actually shoot arrows at these armor stands, they will disappear. This is nothing more than a simple house. And here we have our lovely warrior barracks. There's not many warriors in here because it was once filled, but we had to deploy them to the fronts and other areas such as this fort. So yeah, we need to retrain more troops. But if you looked on the outside, you probably noticed the cannons. This structure was one of the first ones built in this city, and it was believed that invaders from the north would come in across the canyons into the main gate, which is this area here, into the roads. So a series of cannons was kind of built to try to deter that. Although we later learned that our neighbors to the north were the Minoso, who have no interest in invasion, but you can never be too careful. So as we dive up in here, we can go into and see our doggy warriors are manning the cannons, ready to fire should an invader come up. Good warriors. Then moving up here, and part of being careful requires having a nice little watchtower. Although this may be anything but little. And when we climb up, we can kind of get a panoramic view of the city and its surroundings, although somewhat isolated since you have the wood in the way. You can see the embassy, my own house. Down there you can see the city palace, you can see the Hall of Mandates over there, and then of course behind the water temple you can see the swimming pool, which, like I say, is which is a pretty cool entertainment structure, which we'll see soon enough. And then of course, like I say, the classic water temple. Gotta show homage to the water goddess. And this is nothing more than just another area to walk around on. Seems I forgot to put doors there. Oh well. In time. This right here is just simply a fishing area and boat docking. It was originally built before the walls were built, but once the walls were built, I figured it could still stay as a fishing area. With crates to store the fish, of course. Here we have an Elishai simple farm that has sugarcane growing in the middle, and the side is designed to grow things like pumpkins and watermelons. Unfortunately, watermelons haven't been found in Elishai territory, but oh well. These farms are designed to grow carrots, potatoes, and wheat. This one is of course open so that the villagers can get it and repopulate. And repopulate they have. There's a major concentration of them over there. Not sure what attracts them to there. Kind of wish they were more attracted to this area, but still. Chicken farm. And of course we have our granary and storage house. Lots of storage for different stuff, both above and below. All neatly organized by name of what it is to keep track of everything I've got. Here we have the entrance into the mine, which goes up to the top of the hills, and I see that I must have forgotten to finish that too. Yeah, a lot of unfinished structures. Here we have our nice iron golems, as well as the basic houses for the Elishai, which were very simple, and again constructed, unfortunately, before the advent of sewage. Very cramped, again because it's a city, but provides all the basics of life. Except toilets, which, yeah. And of course here we have our little garden, meeting and greeting area, small park area. With, of course, jack-o'-lanterns and, yeah, jack-o'-lanterns underneath every hedge so that this area at night can be lighted without having to have torches. Because torches in this area, there was no way I could have done it with, and have it look good. So the fact that I discovered that jack-o'-lanterns underneath hedges were great for that was a very welcome change, which I give full credit to OMG Craft or OMG Chad for. This is of course the Elishai commercial wheat farm, as well as the commercial potato and carrot farm. So all the stuff here that's grown is then stored in this building here to be shipped out for trade, which is how we make our emeralds and the like, for trading with other nations. This building right here is our gravel crushing factory. So when we take gravel out here and crush it, we get the, well, whatever it is, that flint. I believe it's called the English version. Now, while these switches will actually send this crusher down and crush it, to be honest, this is mostly merely cosmetic. I actually extract the flint like everybody else and just drop the gravel here and just keep breaking it up until the flint spawns, but a cosmetic touch with conveyor belts and functioning crushers I figured couldn't hurt. Here we have the lovely school, and again I wish the villagers would go over to this area, but we gotta educate our youth. This one does have a toilet, however. That was absolutely a necessity when it comes to a building with a bunch of kids. Then we have our upper learning area here in classroom. This is where students learn the power of water and the manipulation of it, complete with a library and an unfinished library here, but this one will actually store the books that the students need to gain an education. Yay. Let's see, moving on. Go around to the back of town. Here we have the public bathing area and public toilet. This was essentially constructed after I'd built some of the houses and, didn't want to have to go through the work of adding toilets into them. So a public bathing center with a public toilet was essential. Here we have more houses. And then this building here it may seem like it's not worth much with just a small area and a few doors, but as we all know, you get more villagers in your city if you have more doors, so that's the main purpose that was constructed. Of course, this farm and a very small bakery. Now, as we go past the small houses, we of course go to my mammoth house. Call it arrogant, but I kind of built all this, so I figured I deserve to have an epic house. Because why not? I mean, when you consider that everything you've seen except for the small NPC villages or generated structures was built by me, yeah, you can see why I felt I deserved a big house, complete with a working toilet. And a button that'll automatically flush it for me, or open it. Because I'm too sophisticated to have to do it myself. Then of course you have your kitchen here with the large sink, stoves, ovens, and cabinets. And of course I get tablecloths, because I'm special. My own anvil, storage area. My own little private library, and my own private garden of course. Somewhere I think I had a private gardener around here, but anyways. Moving on up to the second floor. Beautiful pictures, because art is awesome. Here we have a table for a game of Terran, which is a LSI game I won't bother explaining the rules of right now. We got our own jukebox, entertainment area, and private aquarium. Because again, why not? And let's not forget the outer deck where I can look on the valued citizens of my empire. I don't know where the term peons came up. And of course, looking at the valued citizens and beautiful waterfalls, because I deserve to have great views. Yay. And of course, we got to go up. And obviously with all this, no private mansion would be complete without my epic bedroom. Complete with its own ceiling fan, because I can't sleep at night without a fan. Yeah. Then moving over here, you got my private bath. Dressers, complete with drawers. Pictures, and it's probably bedtime. Alright. Then of course you got private couches for meeting with people. More dressers, because I gotta have lots of clothes. Now the symbolism here, this isn't just some random pattern. You'll see a lot of symbols like this, as these are the symbols of the LSI, and as the civilization advanced into the space age, aka when I placed the game Star Made, these symbols are a lot more present and a lot more intricate. A lot more intricate. And you'll see them more throughout the town because, again, these are the symbols of the LSI. Now this right here is of course the town well. And of course our lava storage tanks are down here. So this is where we store lava. We're kind of running out of supply, but it's okay. We have some physical storage of lava down here. You may wonder why people who worship water are storing lava, and the answer is lava is useful. And this of course is where I go if I need more string, because that is a spider spawner, and by keeping it alive and just having light on it, I can just go down there, cut off the light, and boom, endless string. It's a win-win. Unless, of course, you're a spider. Then, of course, we have the mineral and resource storage areas, a small basic tree farm, and, of course, the Grand Palace. So not only do I deserve a grand house, but I gotta have a grand palace, too. And what's a grand palace without a grand pool area and fountains? Because again, water. Oh, that's why I can't open that door. He's sitting on this thing. Go up here, we go to our wood storage area. You know, nothing special. Here we go to where our libraries and scribes are. The beautiful thing about this is these people will actually stay here because mobs aren't, smart enough to leave and they get stuck. But it's great, especially when you consider, I think this guy over here, yep, he sells the water affinity book, which allows me to mine at full speed underwater. So the fact that he's always going to be in that same position is actually great because I love that enchantment, especially as water worshippers. And we got our scribes up here for the laws. Some primitive maps of our city before I discovered the map mod. And then, of course, our main coffers that store all the emeralds we've got from trade. These are from trade, I believe. One of them's from trade. Now, this is from trade, and this is from taxation. Lots of good stuff. Diamonds, lapis lazuli, and, of course, ender pearls, because once you get stone swords, endermen die like it's nothing, even though I'm playing on the hard difficulty. Then, of course, you have your library here, complete with books. These are blueprints. This is where I'm going to store religious text. This is books on the races, although I've only written one. And this is books on history. And, with this book here and telling about the story of the fire that swept through the city one day. And in a completely unrelated story, I swear, if you are going to have a lava storage area near wooden buildings, make sure there is no way creepers can get into said storage areas when you're standing next to the lava, because once that lava explodes because of a creeper, that may spread to the wooden buildings and cause fires. Again, this is just a hypothetical that I personally may have never experienced. Wink, wink. But that's pretty much... Oh, wait. There's one building over here I'm missing. This is, of course, the bakery. So with us growing pumpkins, then we have chickens here for eggs, and, of course, sugarcane. Where would we be without a beautiful bakery? Complete with storage for bread, cake ingredients, pumpkin pies, and lots of baked potatoes. And, of course, milk, because you gotta have milk to bake cakes. Now, before we show off the water temple, another structure I'm proud of is the Blue Wool Farm. Now, some people would say this is cruel and barbaric the way we've got this set up, but it allows me to have a good, unlimited source of blue wool. You just open the gate, you go in, you shear them, you grab the wool, then you close the gate. And I promise all these people were volunteers. They love it here. And you got your front desk, of course, complete with your computer. Which reminds me, I did forget to show off one building in this area. But you've already kind of seen it somewhat. You saw the stone factory on the outside. Well, this is the stone factory on the inside, so not only does it serve as a major storage area for the stone. Well, there's not much stone here. There's some there. We have our sophisticated stone factory on the inside, which functions very similar to the one you saw outside. Though villagers like to get down in here, so pouring the lava now might not be a good idea. But it does come complete with its own laptop computer to control all the processes. How we have laptop computers when we're still using stone swords, I don't really have an explanation for it other than it's Minecraft. Go with it. Now, the pride of the city, the water temple. As we enter, now unfortunately I had to have gates because villagers were killing themselves, and the water temple. Not the kind of religious beliefs I wanted to condone. So, and naturally, of course, only I'm good enough to enter this area, holy place. But essentially, this is where the water is. Though I find it slightly ironic that the water temple is lit up by fire, but I need more glowstone. I only have 4 pieces of glowstone here, and the only way I can get glowstone is by killing witches. It takes a while, and before you say, well, you can just go to the nether, you got to keep in mind, I treat the nether as another planet, so until my people develop space flight, I can't travel to said planet to get glowstone. But yeah, we have our water temple, and this is where the sacrifices of seeds are made. So every time we have a harvest of wheat and the like, we throw in a stack of seeds there so that the water goddess may rejuvenate the land. And there we have our farmer. Now, of course, entertainment for the people is very important, and what better entertainment for a group of water worshippers than swimming pool races and fights? Because, hey. Then, of course, you have your concession stands. There's no events happening right now, so nobody's here, but you can come up here and get your concessions, and this is where the workers can go in, and the like. And naturally, with such a great place like this, you've got to have access to toilets. So you got toilets there, toilets there, toilets there, and toilets there. Haven't really used this area much, mainly because, like I say, sewage and waste reduction was more of an afterthought. So we still have to construct our massive underground sewer system before it's completely sanitary and safe. But we have bleachers here for people, for the elites to watch, while the commoners can watch from down below. Speaking of commoners, but as we go up here, we can see the main other areas up here for people to watch the events. Behind glass, of course, so they don't fall in. And then, of course, you need small living quarters for the people who work here, so that's what this is. And the other side is symmetrical, so there's no point in going over there and showing you. Yeah. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with the way this pool area turned out. Wish I could tell you how long it took to build this, but I can't because I was keeping a record of how long each building took. I had a little Minecraft written book in which I wrote down each construction project in this city, when it was started, when it was completed, and the purpose of it. But I had that book with me while I was cutting down trees in the forest, and let's just say creepers and lava pits that you didn't notice. Well, anyways, yeah. So that's what happened to that book. But here we have a small housing area. Nothing real too fancy about these houses. Again, small, cramped living arrangements because, well, it's a city, so what do you expect? You got your functioning toilets, bath, and, of course, cabinet dressers. The other house across the road is pretty similar. And it's getting night. Probably don't have time to show you this before going to bed, so let's just save that for tomorrow and begin to show you the beginnings of constructing a sewer system. And once you see just how extensive I plan for this to be, you're going to see why it is a massive undertaking. So far I haven't gone too far into it, but basically this is going to be the basic design. You have it here, and this is going to expand underneath all the toilets in all the city. They're going to flow down here, and then this is all going to flow off into a mutual runoff point to either be incinerated with lava or dumped into a cave. Because I'm pretty sure the cave monsters love that. Yeah, let's just go with the fact that they love it. And you can go farm away, dude. I am going up here, past the private library, to sleep. And of course we got our toilet and bath there. Guess I should give him a door, but I guess it doesn't matter. It's a master bedroom anyway. Cabinets, and of course the kitchen. Alright, now this building right here, this was quite a feat of construction engineering. So you have your beautiful walkway into it. And now what is this building? Well, as you walk in, it may not be easily apparent what it is, but as you can see up on top, the designs, because again, designs like this are common symbols of the LSI, which only grow more intricate with time. But this big open building is called the Hall of Mandates. Now, that may not explain in detail what it does, but essentially think of it like a city council building. Basically, you have your council of elders that come here together And this is essentially where laws are discussed. You know, someone comes up here, they begin to, or someone no, this is where the main head of the city stands, aka me, and the people come and they present ideas for laws and what they want to become laws or something they think needs to be done. And then, of course, they debate on it, and then a decision is ultimately reached. Now, as you'll notice, these structures over here, it's like they seem to have nothing in them. And this is very similar, but they will eventually, because these over here do. Now, this is very similar to what's going to be over in the embassy in that one building like I showed you earlier. The public can, at any time, come in and listen to these meetings as they happen, or just read information about the mandates and laws that were passed. So, basically, in plain English, this is a place for not only the discussion and making of laws, but for the public, members of the public, to enter at any time, go up and see the details not only on what laws are in place, but kind of get some details about the discussions on it. So, let's go for here to a the deforestation mandate. As I mentioned, LSI law mandates the removal of certain forests. Now you may say, well, that's an awful thing, and that's just not right, and where did I put the book? And so if you were a citizen of the LSI and believed that's a travesty, you would have the right at any time to go in here and then look and see what on earth possessed them to make such a law to remove forest. So you have your mandate outline that shows the proposal. This is where it outlines what was said about the law. You have the reasons stated, and of course you have to have your your basic opposition summary, the reasons that they have against it, and then of course you have a verdict summary, and that was basically to summarize the conclusion, and then specific laws that resulted of it. So for example, you can go through and see why they would say we should remove forests. So for example, reason number 1, security. Monsters basically take cover under trees in daytime, and so skeletons, even in the daytime, if they spawned at night, they could shoot you, so things like that. And they say it would make trade easier, but of course, you have opposition, and so you have things like, some people brought up the argument, well, yes, the forest may be providing protection to our enemies, but the ability to kill our enemies comes from bows, swords, all of which requires wood, which comes from the forest. So, or you can't destroy the forest just because of how bad enemies use it. So you have this debate back and forth, and then you talk about the ecology and how forests aren't just a bunch of trees; they're an ecosystem, and you got to respect that. And yada yada yada. It's a lot of boring laws and rhetoric, but I kind of take this seriously, so you can kind of see why. So essentially, as the laws were complete, they talk about where you can cut down forest and then mandating specific uses for each type of wood. And of course, above all else, there is a mandate that seeds be stored so that if the forest ever wanted to be replanted, that can be great. And then, of course, you have the area conservation mandate, as well as the date that it was put into law, the embassy mandates, and things like that. And more mandates will be added over time, which, of course, will again be available to the public. Again, like I say, I kind of take this seriously, and ooh, hearts are made. Ooh, okay, let's look away while the hearts are going. Love is in the air once again. Aye, aye, aye. Now this over here is another house that we're trying to cram in here, and it makes use of the dark oak wood, and I found that these doors look very beautiful, I think, with this texture pack. Of course, you got your own toilet, kitchen, and all that. Then of course the upstairs area. Find it odd looking at it now that you have to go through the bathroom to get to the upstairs area, but whatever. That's also going to be a reading area once I get more bookshelves. Very basic house. And as we move on past the city walls, that right there is still part of the swimming area. This also here is another elaborate house for more well-to-do citizens. Not as well-to-do as I do, but they got their own guard doggy. A more elaborate bathroom, toilet, and bath. A kitchen area. their own private garden with more guard doggies. And a much more elaborate upper house, again with a guard doggy. And multiple bedrooms, because the rich elite have kids and other family members. And of course the master bedroom for this house, complete with its own master bath, because why not? Alright, now this building right here is an Elishai storehouse, and as you can see it looks quite different than the Minoso storehouse you saw up there with the big open areas, but the Elishai are completely different people, so they store things in a more cramped environment, and they make use of shelves as opposed to open areas. They try to, the Elishai basically build up more than they do out, but that's not to say they completely neglect the idea that the Minoso use of open storage such as this. And of course you got your iron golem for security, and then this right here, you may say, what in the world's the point of this? Well, it's really very simple. In order to establish trade between the empires, we transport a lot of goods with the donkey. And this right here is easily passable by the player, but since it's only 1 block wide, the donkey itself cannot get through it, which ensures that the donkey stays right where I want him. And it's pretty simple to set up. You just need a regular piston and a... Oh, great. I let the iron golem in here. Well, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Maybe he'll go out with it being open. No, because reasons. You know what? Yeah. Okay, never mind. Note to self, iron golems are stupid. Oh well. I was wanting him to guard my armory, but the guard dogs seem to have that covered. Now this over here is area yet to be constructed. This is probably going to be another house. We're going to have marketplaces and things like that. A lot of construction yet to do in this area. But with that said, let's take a look at the Tamarin village. You can kind of see it over there. Now, who are the Tamarins? Your first thought may be just another civilization of regular people, but they're actually not people, so to speak. And to put it simply, the Tamarins are cows. However, in Elishai beliefs, cows are an intelligent species. It's kind of I don't know if I want to say intricate, but essentially they believe they're an intelligent species, and their religion dictates how the buildings for the Tamarins are constructed. Because, as we all know, Tamarins, or cows, that's where you get your milk, and that's where you get, above all else, leather. And, of course, steaks, but this, of course, requires killing them. But they've decided to do what many cultures in real life have done, and that is use their religion to justify this murder. So, essentially, they believe that the souls of these cattle will be transported up to be, when killed, will be transported up to be with the water goddess and then be reborn. So they believe in reincarnation, therefore the sacrifice of these cows is an honor and just a transition. However, because their life will end with this sacrifice, the water goddess has demanded that the buildings of the Tamarins have no roofs, so that she can always rain down her blessings upon them and see those who are about to join her due to this sacrifice, because you can't have books or anything like that without the leather, and the cows have to die to do this. But not only that, but the meat from the cows is then fed to the guard dogs, who then use that to reproduce, which of course allows them to protect the worlds of the water goddess. It's kind of long and complex, but the short of it is, like so many people in the past, they use religion to justify murder. But as we enter into it, that doesn't mean that this weird religious justification makes for bad architecture. They definitely have their own unique style. And the fact that bricks are used are also a very important part of it, because bricks, as we all know, come from clay, which generally can be found underwater. So the water goddess has demanded that the buildings for these Tamarins be built with material taken from her oceans, rivers, and streams, and lakes. These are, of course, sleeping areas for human visitors to the Tamarin village. So think of this as like the Tamarin Hotel with the guest here. Milk's on the house. As you can see by them walking on top of everything, literally milk is on the house. Then of course you have another Tamarin meeting area and community center. This is where they get together, they live, discuss things, all that good stuff, and of course grow their own food. Now this village is still incomplete, mainly because finding enough clay to make all these bricks takes a while. Then of course you have the guard doggies here protecting the Tamarin village because the Tamarins are terrible warriors. And this is of course a tree farm in construction, although it needs to be finished yet. Still a lot to do. Again, finding the clay takes a while. Yeah. But it's getting night again, time to head to the hotel. Don't even have beds in every hotel room. Definitely getting a low star review. And I can't sleep because it's not night. But that's basically the large portion of my world in a nutshell. There are some other structures that we've begun, such as the Dendo Research Center, which is an LSI underwater research facility, but that's still under construction. But that one's going to be a pretty cool structure, and I'm really proud of the way it's turning out. The fact that it's got water both above and below and inside the structure makes for some interesting architecture, I do feel. And then, of course, up above, you have the other civilizations, like the desert-dwelling and sun-worshipping Olivians, and they're beginning to rebuild their civilization. I mean, as you can see, there's desert ruins everywhere. So essentially, as I'm going through these ruins, I am beginning to rebuild them as I envision what they used to be. So starting here with this farm, you can't really see much of it here by looking on the map, but I've taken an area that had a bunch of ruins and sandstone blocks laying around throughout the area and then begin to reconstruct to those figures the kind of structure that I imagine once exists there. So eventually these people are going to rebuild their civilizations and be developed, but they got a long ways to go. Then up north you have the Sinai. Even beyond that, the Sinai. These are savanna and kind of jungle-ish dwelling people. Well, not jungle, but it's savanna area. But they're your own unique architecture and styles, but they're not developed enough. And then, of course, somewhere you have another civilization. The Canigven. Truly evil people that we may end up going to war with at some point. But, yeah. And, of course, you got the witches of the... We've all seen witch huts, but I've been basically burning them down as I plan to eventually conquer this entire area. On a related note, this map mod is pretty good, and it's called the Voxel map mod. You need Light Loader or something like that. Maybe if people are interested in it, I'll be happy to post links and stuff to where you can download it. But it's a pretty amazing map mod. But anyways, there you can see the kind of the empire. Still got a lot to develop, but again, it takes quite a while when you're building in survival mode as opposed to creative. But I personally find it pretty rewarding. I'm happy with what I've built so far, and if you have any comments or you want to share some insight as to what you think, or maybe give me some ideas on what type of buildings I should build. I know I need to get like a hospital type structure, but my mind's kind of drawing a blank of what other type of buildings that these kind of cities should have. So if you have any suggestions of what types of buildings I should be building, feel free to throw them my way. I'm always looking for ideas, because that's pretty much the Minecraft community in a nutshell. Some people contribute ideas, other people take those ideas and build upon them. And if anybody wants to try to build upon what I've got here, the way I play, and that you're building civilizations from the ground up, complete with trade and interconnectivity and mandates and laws, feel free, because we're all here to have fun and enjoy this wonderful game of Minecraft. Anyways, everyone, thanks for watching. This has been Schwartz Fiat. Have a good one.